You ever notice that life has these strange moments? Moments that feel normal on the surface, but underneath something is humming. Like reality is vibrating a little differently. Like time doesn't land the way it used to. Like you're here, but also not quite here. And the wild part, you don't tell anyone about it, because you're not even sure how to describe it, but deep down you feel it, a subtle pull, a whisper, a shift, and one day it hits you. Something is calling me, but I can't see where it's coming from. Pause there for a second, because that feeling, that quiet, almost electric sensation running under your skin is not random. There's a reason for it. There's a reason you feel it. You may not realize this yet, but there's a kind of gate on Earth right now. Not a physical doorway. You can't walk to it. You can't take a picture of it. And if you scanned the entire planet with satellites, you wouldn't find it. Because it doesn't exist in space. It exists in frequency. A threshold, a tuning point, a shift in the underlying resonance of consciousness. And here's the paradox. Everyone is living on the same Earth, but only a very small number of people can sense this gate. Not with their eyes, not with logic, but with something older, deeper, more instinctive. You. You feel it when you wake up at 3:33 a.m. for no reason. You feel it when you're sitting alone and the world suddenly goes quiet, almost like reality is holding its breath for you. You feel it when your intuition spikes, when your thoughts become sharper, when something inside you whispers, "Pay attention." And maybe you've tried to brush it off. Maybe you've told yourself it's stress or coincidence or just your imagination acting up. But the more you ignore it, the louder it becomes, not in sound, but in presence. It shows up in the way people react to you. It shows up in the way you no longer resonate with old routines. It shows up in the strange, perfect timing of events that feel orchestrated, as if something is nudging you, guiding you, preparing you. And the truth is simple. Not everyone feels the call. Only the ones whose frequency is already brushing against the edge of that gate. If you're here listening to this, it's not an accident. It's a response to a signal you've already picked up. A signal that has been growing louder, clearer, and more precise. The question now isn't whether the gate exists. The question is, why is it calling you? And what's waiting on the other side? You know what's strange? The call never shows up dramatically. It doesn't crash into your life like thunder. It doesn't announce itself with flashing lights or some spiritual fireworks. It arrives quietly, gently, almost shy, like a whisper brushing the back of your awareness. And it usually starts with something subtle, something you can't quite explain. Maybe you wake up one morning and the world feels off. Not wrong, not bad, just shifted, like the color of reality changed half a shade overnight. Or maybe you're going through your normal routine, driving, working, scrolling, and suddenly you feel disconnected from everything around you. Not in a lonely way, in a "this isn't my timeline anymore" kind of way. It's the first sign, a soft nudge, a gentle separation from the old you. Then the second sign appears, a light sense of unease. Not anxiety, not fear. More like a quiet pressure guiding you forward. A pull towards something you can't name yet. You feel restless but not lost. Your soul is moving faster than your life, and it's trying to catch your attention. And right around that time, the synchronicities start. You think of someone. They text you. You consider a question. The answer appears in the next conversation. You say a word, and hear it repeated on the radio seconds later. Numbers repeat, songs repeat, moments repeat. It's like reality is blinking at you, trying to say, hey, you're not imagining this. And you start noticing patterns, a sense of being guided or nudged or steered in a direction you didn't plan but somehow recognize. These aren't hallucinations, they're not coincidences either. This is what happens when Earth adjusts her resonance, and certain souls begin to pick up the shift. When your inner frequency rises, your outer reality responds with signals. Little pings, subtle markers, breadcrumbs from a higher timeline. Synchronicities aren't signs from the universe. They're signposts from your own alignment. And if you're watching this, if these things have been happening to you, then here's the truth you already feel in your bones. You've been pinged, not randomly, not accidentally, but intentionally, because something on this planet, something old, something conscious, is whispering to you, calling you forward. And the question now is, what exactly is calling you? And where does it want you to go next? So, what exactly is this thing you keep feeling? What is this pull, this pressure, this strange sensation that something is opening around you, even though nothing looks different on the surface? Let's slow down for a moment. Take a breath, because this is where everything starts to make sense. The frequency gate isn't a doorway. It isn't some portal hidden in the mountains or a cosmic tunnel you meditate your way into. It's not out there at all. It's a threshold. A boundary made not of matter but of vibration. A shift in awareness. A point where your internal frequency reaches a level that aligns with a different layer of reality. Think of it like tuning a radio. All the stations are already in the air around you. They're all here right now. But you only hear the one you're tuned to. The frequency gate is that exact moment when the dial clicks into a new station. You don't see the click. You feel it. You feel it through intuition that suddenly sharpens. Through emotions that clear faster than usual. Through a sense of knowing that doesn't come from the mind, but from somewhere deeper. And here's the part people overlook. This gate doesn't appear the same way for everyone. For some, it feels like clarity. For others, like pressure. For others, like a soft opening in the middle of their chest. A feeling of release they didn't know they needed. But underneath all of those differences, the mechanism is the same. Your consciousness is brushing against a higher frequency band, a band that only a fraction of people on Earth are aligned with right now. Not because they're chosen, not because they're special, but because their inner world has finally become compatible with a higher timeline. And that compatibility? You can't force it, you can't fake it, you can't pretend your way into it. You only enter the frequency gate when your internal resonance matches the gate itself. It's alignment, not effort. Coherence, not striving. That's why you can't point to it on a map. That's why nobody can show it to you. That's why you can't walk someone else through it if they're not ready. Because the gate isn't a place, it's a match. When your inner frequency stabilizes above a certain threshold, the old layers of reality stop responding to you the way they used to. And the new layer, the higher layer, starts to reveal itself. Subtle at first, almost unnoticeable, but undeniably different. This is why only a small percentage feel it. It's not based on belief. It's not based on spirituality. It's based on resonance. And if you've been sensing this shift, this pull, this whisper, this invisible click, then you're already standing closer to the gate than you think. Which leads to the real question. Why is Earth's frequency shifting now? And what is it preparing you for? Here's something most people never stop to consider. What if the Earth isn't just a place you live, but a consciousness you're interacting with? What if the ground beneath your feet isn't passive, isn't neutral, isn't static, but alive in ways your mind hasn't learned to translate yet? Because whether you've noticed or not, the planet is changing. Not in the dramatic end-of-the-world way people throw around online, but in a subtle, energetic way that you can only feel when you're quiet enough to sense it. And if you've been feeling off, or out of sync, or strangely sensitive lately, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something is shifting around you. Let me explain it the simplest way I can. Every living system has a frequency, a heartbeat, a resonance, and Earth, this massive ancient organism you're walking on, has a frequency too. A foundational vibration that influences everything living on it. And over the past few decades, that baseline has been rising. Not chaotically, not randomly, but deliberately, steadily, almost like the planet is tuning itself, preparing for the next chapter in human consciousness. Some people describe it as an energy lift, some as thinning veils, some as the awakening of collective intuition. But in quantum terms, it's simple. When the observer's environment shifts, the observer's reality begins shifting too. You're not being pulled up by the Earth. It's not dragging you into a higher frequency like some spiritual elevator. No. What the Earth is doing is mirroring you, amplifying the parts of you that already want to evolve, reflecting the patterns you're ready to release, highlighting the versions of you that no longer fit. This is why everything feels divided lately, why the world looks like it's splitting into two different realities. Because in a way, it is. In the past, people of different frequencies could blend smoothly. Everything overlapped. Everything mixed. The density difference wasn't strong enough to notice. But now, the separation is clear. Those in fear are slipping deeper into fear. Those in clarity are rising into even more clarity. Those resisting change feel more stuck. Those surrendering to change feel more aligned. The Earth hasn't become more chaotic, it has become more precise, more reflective, like a tuning fork vibrating at a higher pitch, exposing every note that doesn't harmonize with it. And if you've been feeling the friction, the pressure, the push to let go of your old patterns, that's not your life falling apart. That's your frequency rising to meet the new resonance of the planet beneath you. Which leads us straight into the next truth. If Earth is shifting, what exactly is splitting? And what happens when timelines begin to separate? There's a moment, and maybe you've already felt it, where reality stops behaving like a single highway and starts acting more like a branching system of roads. At first, it's subtle, barely noticeable. Just a sense that people aren't experiencing the same world anymore. Some are living in fear, caught in loops, reliving the same emotional patterns again and again like a movie stuck on repeat. And others, maybe you're one of them, are moving through life with new clarity, new intuition, new alignment, as if something inside them finally synced with the rhythm of the universe. Same Earth, different experience. Same day, different timeline. This is timeline divergence, not an apocalypse, not the world splitting in two like a sci-fi movie, but a quantum separation, a difference in frequency so strong that two versions of reality begin to operate side by side. Let's make this simple. Old Earth is driven by fear. New Earth is driven by resonance. Old Earth feels heavy, repeating, predictable, a cycle of survival, reaction, and emotional gravity. New Earth feels lighter, not easier, just clearer. Intuition leads. Synchronicities guide. Life responds faster because you're no longer fighting against your own energy. It's not about good versus bad. It's not about awakened versus asleep. It's about coherence, frequencies that match naturally cluster together, frequencies that don't match naturally drift apart, just like oil separates from water, just like two magnets snap into place or repel each other, just like tuning forks vibrate together or not at all. And when Earth's resonance changed, that separation became impossible to ignore. This is why you feel like you're living in a different reality than some of the people around you. Because you are. Your timeline is diverging from theirs. Imagine a train traveling across a country. For miles, the tracks are unified, one direction, one journey. But at a certain point, there's a split. One track curves left, one track curves right. The passengers don't choose the direction consciously. They don't even feel the shift at first. The trains simply follow the tracks they're already aligned with. In the same way, your thoughts are the engine. Your emotions are the fuel. Your frequency is the track. And the track you're aligned with is the timeline you move deeper into, whether you realize it or not. This is why some people feel stuck, drained, lost in cycles they can't break. Their frequency is tied to the old Earth timeline. But people like you, people who feel the call, people who feel reality shifting beneath their feet, you're drifting toward the new Earth timeline, a reality with more flow than resistance, more purpose than pressure, more intuition than confusion. It doesn't mean life becomes perfect. It means life becomes aligned. You stop pushing against the current because the current starts matching who you're becoming. And once you notice this divergence, you can't unsee it. You can't pretend things are the way they used to be. You can't go back to the version of yourself that survived life instead of shaping it. Because whether you realize it or not, you're already on the train that's heading toward a higher timeline. The only question left is who else is on that train with you, and why do only a small percentage feel the call at all? Here's the part most people never understand, and honestly, it's the part you've probably wrestled with in silence. Why do you feel all of this when the people around you don't? Why are you noticing synchronicities while others say it's just coincidence? Why are you sensing shifts in reality that they can't even acknowledge? Why do you feel like something big is coming, while they're still repeating the same routines day after day as if nothing in the world has changed? It's not because you're better. It's not because you're chosen. It's not because you're special in some ego-driven way. It's because your frequency is different. Some souls carry a resonance that's been tuning itself for years, sometimes decades, sometimes lifetimes. And when Earth's frequency rises, those souls are the first to feel the ping. Think about your own journey for a second. You've probably felt tired of the old version of reality long before you had language for it. Tired of shallow conversations, tired of emotional loops, tired of playing roles you outgrew. It wasn't burnout, it wasn't boredom, it was energetic incompatibility. When your soul begins to rise in frequency, the old frequency bands of life start feeling tight, small, restrictive. like wearing clothes that don't fit anymore. And then the symptoms start. Not physical symptoms, energetic ones. Moments of sudden clarity like lightning striking inside your mind. Flashes of déjà vu so strong you swear you've lived this moment before. Random chills, random intuition spikes, random waves of knowing that come out of nowhere but feel oddly familiar. And the biggest one, the one almost every awakened soul experiences, a sense that something is about to shift, even if you can't explain what. You feel life reorganizing itself around you. You feel people drifting in or out for reasons that make no logical sense but make perfect energetic sense. You feel like you're walking towards something unseen yet deeply known. That's the 1% resonance pattern. It's not about intelligence. It's not about age. It's not about belief system. It's about frequency compatibility with the higher timeline Earth is opening. Some people didn't come here to awaken in this lifetime. Some did. You're in the latter group. And if that sounds heavy, it's not. It's actually simple. Your soul already carries the frequency of where the Earth is heading. So you feel the shift first. You feel the call sooner. You sense the divergence earlier. You experience the friction before it becomes obvious to everyone else. This is why your inner world has been changing so fast. This is why the old life doesn't stick anymore. This is why the whispers won't let you rest. Because the gate is near, and your frequency is brushing against it. But how do you know the call is real? How do you recognize the signs with absolute clarity? Simple. The universe gives you markers, synchronicities, signals, and quantum hints that appear exactly when you're ready for them. And that's exactly what we're diving into next. By the time the call reaches you, it doesn't knock on your door. It doesn't introduce itself politely. It doesn't ask for permission. It just starts showing up, quietly, strangely, consistently, in ways you can't explain, but can't ignore. Let's walk through the 11 most common markers, the signals almost every awakened soul begins noticing once their frequency brushes the edge of the gate. And as you hear these, I want you to pay attention to which ones already happened to you. Because trust me, if even a handful resonate, you're already far deeper into this process than you realize. 1. Repeating numbers. 1111, 222, 333. You stop seeing numbers as coincidence. They feel like timestamps, like reality sending you notifications that your alignment is shifting. 2. Vivid, hyper-real dreams. Dreams stop being dreams. They become landscapes, memories, messages. They feel more real than your waking life. 3. Losing interest in old patterns. Things that used to define you, habits, friendships, routines, just fall off. Not dramatically. They simply no longer match your frequency. 4. Intuition spikes. You start knowing things without knowing why. Answers appear before questions finish forming. You start sensing people's energy instantly. 5. Timeline slips, moments where time feels distorted. Too fast, too slow, or strangely nonlinear. You lose track of hours or gain them. 6. Emotional purges. Old wounds surface suddenly, not to hurt you but to release you. 7. Magnetic pull toward new environments. You feel drawn to certain people, places, or ideas without any logical explanation. 8. The observer shift. You watch your own life from a slight distance, and as if something in you has stepped out to examine the bigger picture. 9. Identity loosening. You stop clinging to who you used to be. You sense a new version forming but can't describe it yet. 10. Random waves of clarity, moments where everything makes sense, where the path lights up for a few seconds, where you feel completely aligned. 11. Synchronicities chaining together. Not just one or two coincidences, clusters, patterns. Multiple events aligning in impossible ways, as if something is orchestrating your steps. And here's the part most people misunderstand. These aren't signs from outside. They're responses from inside. Reality bends around your frequency. Synchronicities appear when your inner world and the higher timeline start vibrating in sync. That's why the signals feel personal. Tailored, perfectly timed, almost intimate. Because they are. They're markers, alignment markers, proof that your frequency is moving closer to the gate, closer to the moment where your timeline will shift for real. And if these signs have been multiplying in your life, if they've been stacking, intensifying, accelerating, then there's something important you need to understand. The gate doesn't open all at once, and it doesn't open for everyone at the same time. It opens when you do. Which brings us to the next truth, a truth most people never realize. The gate isn't a global event. It's a personal one. There's a misconception that big spiritual changes arrive like world events. Loud, obvious, collective, but the frequency gate, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't open on a specific date. It doesn't appear in the sky for everyone to witness. It doesn't announce itself to the masses. Because this gate isn't global. It's personal. And the moment you understand that, everything starts to make sense. Some people are waiting for a cosmic shift. A sign, a prophecy, a massive awakening that sweeps across the planet at the same time. But that's not how consciousness evolves. That's not how higher timelines unfold. Evolution doesn't happen in crowds. It happens in individuals. Quietly, internally, in the hidden corners of your awareness where no one else can see the work you're doing. The gate opens not when the world is ready, but when you are, when your frequency aligns, when your old patterns melt away, when your inner world becomes coherent enough to perceive a higher version of reality. This is why two people can live the same life on paper but experience completely different realities. One feels stuck, heavy, chaotic. The other feels guided, clear, synchronized. Same world, different frequency, different timeline. And that's why you can't drag anyone with you. You can't convince them. You can't wake them up. You can't force them into a timeline they're not vibrationally compatible with. Because the gate doesn't open through belief. It opens through resonance. And resonance is deeply personal. Some souls walk through it in their 20s, some in their 40s, some much later, some never do. Not because they're wrong or lesser, but because their blueprint is different, their timing is different, their timeline is unfolding at its own pace, and yours is unfolding right now. If you've been feeling the urgency, the pressure, the inner momentum, it's because your frequency is approaching that threshold. The gate is not something the earth opens for you. It's something you open inside yourself. A shift, a match, a moment of internal alignment so precise that your timeline simply can't remain the same. And once you reach that point, you're no longer asking whether the gate is real. You're asking something far more powerful. What if I'm the one activating it? What if I am the key? And that question leads directly into the core revelation that changes everything. Up until now, you've probably been thinking about this gate as something external, something the earth controls, something the universe decides, something you somehow stumble into if you're lucky or chosen. But here's the truth, the real truth. The earth doesn't decide who enters the higher timeline. You do. Not with your beliefs, not with your effort, not with your willpower, but with your frequency. And once that sinks in, once you feel it instead of just hearing it, everything shifts. Because suddenly the gate isn't out there anymore. It's not something you're waiting for. It's not something you earn, chase, or unlock. It's something you match. Let me show you what I mean. Think of a lock and a key. The lock doesn't open because the key tries hard. It doesn't open because the key wants it. It opens because the grooves match, because the shapes align, because the pattern is coherent. The frequency gate works the same way. Your consciousness is the key. Your vibration is the pattern. Your alignment is the groove. When the pattern matches the gate, it opens. Automatically, naturally, effortlessly, not through force, through resonance. And here's where quantum mechanics quietly joins the conversation. In the quantum world, the observer isn't passive. The observer shapes the outcome. The observer collapses potential timelines into a single one, the one they're vibrating with. This is the observer effect, not metaphysics, not spirituality. Physics. Your frequency chooses the reality you step into, not your thoughts, not your intentions, not your affirmations, your frequency. The energy behind your thoughts, the resonance underneath your emotions, the patterns that exist even when you're silent, even when you're tired, even when you're not trying. And here's the part that might hit you harder than you expect. You've already felt this happening. You've had moments where your entire reality rearranged after a single internal shift. Moments where clarity changed your path instantly. Moments where letting go of one belief changed the people, opportunities, and timelines you intersected with. You thought that was coincidence. It wasn't. That was resonance lock, your frequency aligning with a higher version of reality and pulling you into it. And the more you align, the faster it happens. The more effortless it becomes, the more obvious the connection is. This is why life feels different now. This is why old paths are closing. This is why new pathways appear the moment you shift internally. Because you are the frequency key. You always have been. You always will be. The earth isn't choosing the timeline for you. It's responding to the one you're choosing. And now that you understand that, the only question left is, how do you tune yourself to match the gate intentionally? How do you stabilize the frequency that opens it? The answer is simple, and it's where your entire transformation begins. If the frequency gate opens through resonance, then the real question becomes, how do you tune your frequency to match it? How do you stabilize the version of yourself that naturally steps into a higher timeline? Not through force, not through rituals, not through spiritual theatrics, through alignment. Through 4 deceptively simple but profoundly powerful activation methods. Let's walk through them slowly, clearly, so you can feel which one is already calling to you. 1. Inner stillness alignment, the quiet that reveals the signal. You ever notice how a radio picks up more static when you're moving too fast? Your mind works the same way. When your inner world is noisy, overthinking, overreacting, overstimulated, you're too loud to sense the finer frequencies around you. Stillness isn't the absence of thought. It's the absence of interference. And the moment you slow down, even for 20 seconds, you'll notice something strange. The guidance becomes clearer. The pings land sharper. The synchronicities multiply. Your intuition stops whispering and starts speaking. You don't need to meditate for hours. Just create pockets of silence big enough for your frequency to realign. Because the gate doesn't open to noise, it opens to coherence. 2. Frequency purification, releasing what blocks the signal. There's a reason you feel heavy when you cling to old emotions, old identities, old versions of yourself. Fear-based patterns drag your frequency back into the density of the old Earth timeline, not because they're bad, but because fear vibrates slowly, and slow frequencies can't match the gate. Purification doesn't mean becoming emotionless. It means removing what your soul has outgrown. Letting go of the loops that drain you, the people who dim you, the beliefs that shrink you, the timelines that collapse you. Not aggressively, not dramatically, just honestly. Every time you release something that was weighing you down, your frequency rises without effort. Every release is a frequency upgrade. You don't purify to be worthy, you purify to be clear. 3. Timeline intentionality, observing from the future version of you. This part might feel like a revelation. You don't align with a timeline by trying to get to it. You align with it by observing from it. Ask yourself the one question that instantly shifts your frequency. Which version of me is observing this moment right now? The one from the old timeline, the one that's afraid, hesitant, doubtful, or the version that already crossed the gate, the one who's grounded, clear, stable, aligned? Every time you choose to see your life from the perspective of your future self, you anchor into that timeline. Intentionality is not wishing, not hoping, not dreaming. It's choosing which you is doing the observing. Because the version you observe from is the version you collapse into reality. That's quantum mechanics, not metaphor. 4. Resonance expansion. Increasing your frequency through presence. If stillness reveals the signal and purification clears it and intentionality aims it, then resonance expansion is what amplifies it. And no, this isn't about high-vibe positivity or pretending everything is perfect. It's about authentic alignment with the states that naturally lift your frequency. Gratitude that feels real, not forced. Presence that brings your mind back into your body. Honesty with yourself that removes inner friction. Small moments of joy that open your field. Curiosity instead of control. These states expand your frequency bandwidth. They increase the signal strength so you stay connected to the pathway that's calling you. You don't force resonance. You allow it. You nourish it. You grow it through consistency, not intensity. And the more your resonance expands, the more the gate recognizes your frequency as a match. Each of these 4 methods is simple, but together, they shift your entire reality. They tune you, stabilize you, align you. Until one day it happens quietly, softly. You cross the threshold, and nothing feels the same again. Which brings us to the next moment in your journey. What actually happens when you step through the gate? What does life look like on the other side? Crossing the frequency gate doesn't feel like some explosive spiritual breakthrough. It doesn't come with trumpets, visions, or lightning bolts from the sky. It feels different, quieter, cleaner, more real than anything you've felt before. It's like your entire life exhales. The first thing you notice is clarity. Not mental clarity, but energetic clarity. You don't question every decision anymore. You don't negotiate with your intuition. You don't second-guess the signals. You just know. The fog that used to cloud your thinking simply isn't there, and the questions that once haunted you lose their weight. Then something else shifts. Resistance disappears. Not because your life becomes perfect, but because you stop fighting the current. Everything becomes smoother, lighter, almost frictionless. Opportunities show up faster. People who match your frequency appear out of nowhere. Paths that once felt blocked open like automatic doors. And you catch yourself saying over and over again, why does everything feel so aligned? Flow states become normal. You enter them easily, sometimes without even trying. Time stops feeling linear. Moments stretch, moments compress. You feel synchronized with something larger than your personal life story. And the synchronicities, they don't just increase, they multiply. They chain together so precisely that ignoring them becomes impossible. You say it once, and the universe echoes it 3 times back to you. You think a thought, and the answer appears in under an hour. You follow a pull, and it leads you exactly where you were supposed to be. Everywhere you go, you feel a strange sensation in your chest. A warmth, a peace, a sense of home. Not home, the place. Home, the frequency, a feeling of, I'm finally where I'm meant to be. And maybe the most surprising part, you don't feel like you've left the old world. You feel like you've stepped into a clearer version of it. A version that was always there, waiting for you to rise into it. Crossing the gate isn't escape, it's perception shift. You're still on Earth, but it's a different Earth now. One that responds to who you've become. And the next challenge is this. How do you stay there? How do you maintain this new frequency when the old identity tries to pull you back? That's the journey ahead. That's the transformation that awaits. Crossing the gate isn't the finish line. It's the invitation. Because once you step into a higher timeline, there's one truth you learn very quickly. You can't carry your old identity into a new frequency. Your habits won't fit. Your fears won't fit. Your defenses won't fit. Your old self, the one built for survival, for repetition, for staying small, can't breathe in this new reality. And you feel it. You feel the parts of you that no longer belong start to fall away. Not painfully, not violently, just inevitably. Because the timeline you stepped into requires a different version of you, a version that already exists, already waits, already pulls you forward with a kind of gravitational certainty. Your future self isn't far away. It's not some spiritual ideal or imagined potential. It's real, it's active, it's already guiding your timing, your intuition, your synchronicities, your inner impulses. And the question that now rises at the edge of your awareness, the question that every awakened soul must face, is simple. Who do you need to become to stay in this higher timeline? Because the gate doesn't just open, it holds you, but only if you rise to meet the version of yourself that already lives on the other side. That's the next step. The next evolution, the next chapter of your awakening. And in the next video, we're going to dive into it fully. The quantum identity shift. Why your future self is already waiting for you. Whenever you're ready, we'll go there together.